As a student, I bet you've lost count of the number of times your supervisor or lecturers use the word critical analysis for you. They use it in different formats, like, oh, you need to introduce more analysis into this work. You need to put more critical analysis. You need to be critical about what you're writing. Yeah, 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 yeah. And sometimes you're just like, what are you saying? What? I mean, especially if you're someone like me who came into the UK from Nigeria, where the education system is quite different. And I got here and it's a situation of, oh, you need to critically analyze. There's not enough critical analysis in your work. You need to be critical about this. You need to be critical. Ah, yes. So this video is for you. In this video, we're going to be talking about what critical analysis is. So I am going to be answering that question. What is critical analysis? And what is the essence of critical analysis? And how do you ensure that your work has enough critical analysis? How do you make sure of it? How do you make sure that your work is not descriptive? Because that's the opposite of critical, right? Like that's the opposite of critical analysis is descriptive. How do you make sure that your work is not descriptive? And then, drum roll, icing on the cake, I am going to give you examples. I'm very big on this. And there is a previous video I made about critical analysis that literally broke it down as well. I gave examples in that video. So this is just another video. I mean, if you did not see that one, you can see this one, but you can equally see both and get like a full package of what critical analysis is. Just have an in-depth knowledge. So what I'm going to do in this video is I would give an example of what a descriptive sentence would look like and what a critical sentence would look like. We're going to look at those side by side. So we would try to increase the complexity as we go on. So this is very beginner friendly. So let's call this critical analysis 101. This is how you would introduce it into your work, right? So now what is critical analysis? Now, when I want to explain this concept, I try to make you visualize things, right? I try to make you see things. I don't want to give any standard definition that doesn't make any sense to you. But the easiest way to explain it is, you know that analogy when people say, oh, you can be viewing the same thing and we're viewing it in different ways. Do you understand? Yes, that's somewhat like what critical analysis is. Critical analysis is bringing different viewpoints together concerning a single issue. So it's looking at that issue, right? And just talking about it. So take, for example, if I take this key snapper that I use, right? We will say, oh, the color is black. It has buttons. Do you understand? Now that's me describing what it is. But if I'm being critical about it, then I go on and I say things like, oh, I talk about the shape. This is a rectangular shaped device. It is black in color. However, the black is not matte. It is somewhat glossy. And what I'm not doing is just describing and say, it is this, it is this, it is this. You're telling us everything that it is. But in critical analysis, what you want to do is you want to tell us everything that it is and everything that it isn't and everything that it has been called before. Do you understand? So that's what differentiates descriptive from being critical. So with descriptive, you just go A equals to B, B equals to C, C equals to D, like that. But with critical, if you're trying to introduce critical analysis, then you're looking at it and saying, oh, A equals to B, but it's not equals to C. It could be equal to D, but it's not equal to F. Do you get? That's just my silly examples I'm giving you now. But we're going to go in depth into proper examples that you can use in your academic writing. But before I go on, I mentioned I was going to say, what is the essence of critical analysis? Critical analysis is important so that we can get the whole view of a subject matter. You can have an holistic view of it. You have different sides to everything, like I said. So we want to see all of those sides. So we don't just want to, I feel like when you write something very descriptive, now that I am an academic writer and I write academic researches and all that, I feel like if you write something descriptive now, it's boring. So what critical analysis does is it introduces more juice into that essay. It shows that, ooh, this person has read. I mean, how well read are you, right? So it shows just you're bringing different parts to this particular subject matter. I mean, you're bringing in arguments that would probably have been thought to not have existed. Do you understand? So that is the essence of critical analysis. It brings more juice. I mean, that's my layman way of defining it. It brings more juice to the context. Like it gives you an holistic view of the situation. It makes a matter. I mean, you get to view the matter from different angles. And I feel like that is how we should view life generally. That's the approach we should take with our essay writing as well. Now, how do you ensure that your work has critical analysis? Yes. So I will start off by saying, number one key thing is to make sure that you plan your essay very well. I have a video on how to plan your essay or your academic writing, your literature review, whichever one you're planning, how to plan it. I have a detailed essay on that. And one of the key resources that helps with that is the planner. You can get my free plan. Did I say free? Not free. You can get my planner. It's just a token. You can get that and it's a good helper, but you don't have to. But the key thing is to plan, and there is a structure to that planning. So you need to watch that video on how to plan your essay, because I explained that structure so you can create a planner. But I feel like my planner would really help. Now, it has different paragraphs whereby, for this paragraph, this is how I'm introducing the critical analysis. And this is very important, particularly if the concept is very new to you. Do you understand? So critical analysis is something that you cannot joke with within your essay. It's a big part of essay writing. I feel like it's the main part of essay writing, because at the end of the day, if your work lacks critical analysis, then I don't know, you won't score well, and then you're not giving it your all, is what is telling me, and it will show that, oh, I don't think you're well read and all of that bit, and I don't think that's where you want to be. So a very good resource that can help with that is that planner. The planner would help sort that. Now, another key free tip that I have for you is using phrases. There are certain phrases that if you use within your work, already introduce some form of critical analysis into it. Now, you need to watch the previous video because this is not as in-depth anyway, but this is a key example. Now, if you introduce words like because, that means you're explaining a concept. That's already a form of critical analysis. If you introduce words like however, you're already given like a conflicting view to something. Conversely, you're given a conflicting view. Those are subtle ways to introduce critical analysis into your work. But what I want to talk about, which is the free resources that I'm trying to mention, is this phrase bank. These are phrases that when you start your sentence with it, they're like sentence starters. I will call that's a tongue twister. Sentence starters. Yeah. No, not that bad. So these sentence starters, when you use them, when you start your sentences, your paragraph with them, it already gives a strong start of, oh, this person is about to introduce some form of critical analysis. So you can take different phrases from there and just input it into your work, as many as possible. So the tool is called Manchester Academic Phrase Bank. I'll show that on the screen. Manchester Academic Phrase Bank has several phrases, as in the phrases are numerous. You can personalize it the way you're writing your essay. You just need to borrow the concept or the idea. And I feel like this is a brilliant phrase bank. And every student needs to be using this phrase bank. So within this phrase bank, if you look through it, you will see if you are trying to introduce a concept, there are ways that you can start it using those sentence starters, that it has a strong start. And what you want to do is, with academic writing is not simple, but this phrase bank gives you an advantage. So you want to leverage it. It is absolutely free. No gatekeeping here. It is absolutely free, right? So you can get the Manchester Academic Phrase Bank. It helps. But if you now use the Manchester Academic Phrase Bank together with the planner, you'll be flying. Do you understand? Because it makes your work super easy. Once you plan that essay, the writing aspect will be the easiest bit, and you will plan your critical analysis into it. That is how you ensure that your work has enough critical analysis. You do not want to get feedbacks like, oh, I'm so sorry, your work is quite descriptive. I mean, you have a point, but it's too descriptive for a level 7 writing. Come on. If you're following me, I hope you've subscribed, I hope you've liked as well. But if you've subscribed and you've liked and you've watched my videos on this channel, you shouldn't be getting feedbacks like that, okay? So if you use that planner and you use the free resources, which is the Academic Phrase Bank, I bet you will be flying, and you will stand out and your work will be noticeable, and that's where you want to be. Now, those are my few bits. That's the essence of critical analysis, and that's how you ensure that there's critical analysis in your work. But now, to go a little bit more in depth, we're going to go into like, what is an example of critical analysis? In this aspect, I will be sharing my screen, and the purpose of this is I want to show you what critical analysis looks like and what descriptive sentences look like. So I'll show the descriptive version, the critical analysis version, so you can compare. Now, another bit that I want to do is just introduce few words that you can already see that these few words that you introduce, or having this kind of words within your work, already puts in some form of critical analysis. Yeah. So we will be doing that, and that's the example we'll be going into from here. So yeah, sit back and let's get into these examples. So based on the example that I mentioned, right, I've created 2 examples. I thought I would have more, but I feel like because this is solely for the purpose of essay writing, we look at this on a paragraph level. So now, what does a descriptive paragraph look like? What does an analytical paragraph look like? So what I've done is I've chosen certain topics. You know that obesity is big on my heart. So yes, I've chosen one on childhood obesity, and then the other one is on loneliness among adults. So we're going to look at it from a descriptive angle and an analytical angle. So what I would expect you to do in the comment section is tell me what you think in terms of the descriptive versus the analytical. What are the key things that you think makes the difference? I guess talking about it also helps. So leave that in the comment section and let me know what your views are. Now, on this descriptive paragraph, now we're going to read through, right? It says, in many neighborhoods, children can be seen snacking on sugary treats and fast food, their faces lit up by the glow of mobile screens as they sit indoors, engrossed in video games or watching television. The streets outside remain empty of the sounds of play and laughter. The playgrounds that once bustled with activity now stand quiet, with only a few scattered groups of children. The shelves in local stores are stocked high with brightly packaged snacks and sugary drinks, easily accessible to young hands. The rise in childhood obesity is evident as more and more children struggle with their weight, affecting not only their physical health but also their self-esteem and social interactions. Right. So that's what that is saying. I'm saying it from a poetic point of view, if you understand what I mean. So now let's look at the analytical side of things. Now, it says childhood obesity is a growing public health crisis driven by a combination of poor dietary habits, sedentary lifestyles, and socioeconomic factors. The availability of high-calorie, low-nutrient foods, often aggressively marketed towards children, play a significant role in this epidemic. The shift from outdoor play to screen-based activities has drastically reduced physical activity levels among children, further contributing to weight gain. Additionally, socioeconomic disparities influence access to healthy food options and recreational activities, exacerbating the issue in lower income communities. The impact of childhood obesity extends beyond physical health as it can lead to psychological issues such as low self-esteem and social isolation, as well as long-term health problems like diabetes and heart diseases. Now, for a minute, let's talk about this. Look at the descriptive side of things and look at the analytical side of things, right? You can see that from the descriptive point, we're just explaining things. Take, for example, the first part, which says that it is driven by a combination of poor dietary habits, sedentary lifestyles, and socioeconomic factors. Instead, if you look at the descriptive part, we're listing them. Like poor dietary habit here was stated as children can be seen snacking on sugary treats and fast food. This is the sedentary lifestyle now, their face lit up by glow of mobile screens. Yeah, so all of that is evident here. It's just describing, literally describing, but from the analytical point of view, you can tell it's poor dietary habits, sedentary lifestyle, socioeconomic factors. We're not listing what those are. We're grouping it together and then making like a very seasoned kind of approach. We took a seasoned approach to explaining what it is we've read. Rather than just describing, we analyze, right? We explain why it is and what we think it is. Now let's look at loneliness among the elderly now. I don't know why I decided to take a poetic approach, but I did. Wow, bear with me. But it's just so you can understand what descriptive looks like. And this is how I view descriptive. You're just telling us, you're just describing, you're not grouping things together, you're not explaining things, you're not taking an analytical point of view in the sense that you're not bringing different opinions into place. Now, I decided to do this without all of the atols and all of the references, just so it is easy for you to understand, right? Now, in this descriptive one, it says, in a quiet neighborhood, elderly residents sit alone in their homes, the silence broken only by the ticking of clocks and occasional hums of passing cars. Once vibrant with life and visitors, these homes now feel empty, with memories of better days lingering in the air. The phone rarely rings and the doorbell almost never sounds. Many elderly people spend their days watching television or staring out the window, hoping for someone to visit or call. Even in crowded urban areas, they walk through busy streets unnoticed, surrounded by people but feeling completely alone. The pervasive loneliness they experience is palpable, casting a shadow over their golden years. Right? Yeah, that's that. So now let's look at it from an analytical point of view. Loneliness among the elderly is a significant social issue, often exacerbated by factors such as loss of a spouse, reduced mobility, and erosion of social network. As individuals age, they may find themselves increasingly isolated, particularly in societies where family structures are changing and community bonds are weakening. The emotional impact of loneliness can be profound, leading to depression, anxiety, and a decline in physical health. Furthermore, loneliness has been linked to an increased risk of cognitive decline and dementia. Addressing this issue requires a multifaceted approach, including community-based support systems, increased access to social activities, and fostering intergenerational connection to help the elderly remain engaged and connected to society. Right? So, this is it. So I think this absolutely makes sense. I decided not to take the popular approach. You can watch the previous video I have on critical analysis, quite popular video. Most universities have turned it to like materials they used to teach their students. I think that's impressive though. Yeah, but I just thought I should brag about that for a minute. Yeah, so you can watch that as well. And the whole essence of this is, if you look at these two two paragraphs, right? The first paragraph, the descriptive one, is literally describing, and that's what most people do. If you're writing on loneliness, now you just go ahead. People don't come, people don't show up, they just sit alone, they just do this. Rather, from an analytical point, which is where you should be writing from, the angle you should be using, you're looking at it as, oh, it is a social issue. Now, why is it a social issue? What causes it? What has it been linked to? What are some of the, there are no references here, obviously, for obvious reasons, right? Because come on, I cooked this up, but this is a good view of what descriptive and analytical look like. So in the comment section again, give me an example of what descriptive and analytical is. Just give a random example and let me see if you grasp that concept. And I think I'll make more videos on this, literally just breaking down descriptive and analytical, because these are not the only examples that we have. There are different ways that you can use to analyze, right? So I think we would also explore that further. But yeah, so I think that pretty much covers it. These two examples are very significant, and I will okay, let me promise so that I can keep up to my promise. I promise to make a video that would provide in-depth, more examples, like let's say like 10 examples. We just go about breaking down descriptive and analytical, and then we'll see how that helps going forward. All right, guys. So you would agree with me that that was mind-blowing, and those examples are really important. And the key part of it is the increase in the, you see how we increased the complexity of these examples. The purpose is so you can understand from a basic level. Like I said, this is critical analysis 101. I mean, if you want more consultation one-to-one, you can always reach out. The email I'll put on the screen, and then is in the description box as well. So you can reach out, and then I'll be able to support you accordingly. But if you implement this, I bet you'll be flying. Now, I hope you've liked, I hope you've subscribed. This video is amazing, and I hope that you send it to your friends who you know would benefit from it as well. Now, guys, enough said. Until I see you again in my next video, make sure you put a smile on somebody's face. Bye.